Reese and Tyler Calvey. Those of you who train with us know us. Oh, there's major lag on it. That's it. It's just catching up. So we have it on a big screen so that we can kind of make sure we stay in the area here. But I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go, I guess. So we're working the guard. Right? We're working guard. We're going to be working primarily guard bottom, and you may or may not know that the guard is primary function is defense. Right? Defend yourself from getting your face punched in. You know, not get knocked out in a street fight. Not get, if you're a woman, not get sexually assaulted. You know, if you're a cop, not get killed with your own gun. Whatever it is, the primary function of the guard is defense. But we're going to go over some attacks from the guard because out of defending their aggression, they're going to always leave us opportunities for an attack. Right? And that's from a self-defense perspective. If we're also talking sport on sport, then, you know, when they're trying to pass our guard, they obviously leave us a lot of room for attack if they're not passing tight. So, we want to start with the bump sweep series. Let's start with the bump sweep series. So, I want to go over the bump sweep series because this is something that I see taught wrong all the time. All the time it's taught wrong. I just saw it taught wrong. Recently I just saw it taught wrong. So, one of the things that Tyler always says it actually, so I'm going to quote Tyler, timing is a technique, strategy is a technique, right? So you can learn all of the steps to any move, but if you're not doing it at the right time, if you're not doing it under the right circumstances, it's pointless to even be practicing it. So one of the things I see a lot is people, you know, the hands are on the floor, and this is how they're teaching it. So, you know, your opponent has the hands on the floor, and you're gonna come up here and do a sit-up, and you're gonna bump sweep him and everything else. Yeah, if he's a grappling dummy, if he's asleep, then I'm gonna be able to do all that. But if I'm just here like this with Tyler, and he's gonna pass my guard, he's gonna do whatever he wants to me. So we have to utilize timing and strategy. So one of the things we want to do is, if we're talking punches, if we're talking striking, we're going to do this from punch block 1. So as he punches, you know, wrapping him up in punch block number 1, making sure I'm not getting my face punched off. If we're just talking sport of grappling and we're just having fun on a Saturday, you know, we got to break posture, get his hands to the floor. But however it is, we want to get to this punch block 1 position here. What I'm waiting for now is Tyler to try to regain his posture by pushing off the floor. That's what I'm looking for. So when that happens, he starts to push off the floor, I'm going to use that. Open my feet, put my hand on the floor. I'm not doing a sit-up. Tyler's pulling me up. Right? We talk about it all the time. If you're using energy in jiu-jitsu, you're probably doing jiu-jitsu wrong. My opponent should do most of the work. So I'm here breaking Ty down. He pushes off the floor. I use him to bring me up. Now, I'm not going to release his head. There's no way I'm ever going to relinquish control of his head. If I start to go like this for his arm, he's gone. He's going to be passing my guard or punching or backing away from my guard. What I want to do, whether it's street fight or sport, is make Tyler free up his head by pushing my elbow off. Right there. That's when I'm going to use the bump sweep. I'm going to make Tyler, or any opponent, probably not Tyler, I don't bump sweep Tyler, he's too good. I'm going to make any opponent push the elbow off their head. So I'm here in punch block 1. He pushes off the ground. I use his energy. I come up to the seated position. My hand is on the floor. My head is tight. I'm hugging him tight. There's no space here. If Tyler wants to pull his head out, it's not going to happen. He has to push the elbow. That's when I trap deep around the elbow. I tuck my foot in, and I raise my hips up and through his chest, immediately establishing the mount position. So we're here. However I broke his posture, whether it was through him punching at me, whether it was through me breaking his posture, whatever it is, I'm just relaxing here. Because we're going to go into the bear trap series after this, which is like Tyler's specialty. So he pushes off the floor. I ride his energy, putting my hand on the floor, keeping tight. I don't relinquish control of the head. No way. He's got to get it back. As soon as he pushes on that elbow, I'm already tucking my foot. I'm trapping his elbow. And I'm raising my hips up and through, immediately establishing the mount, getting heavy. What do we need to talk about? Is there anything?
No, that's good. I like the head control because most people, for some reason, that's a big thing that people forget.
Yeah.
Because when you start to play jiu-jitsu, we get too comfortable with collar grips and sleeve grips, spider guard, De La Riva guard, and almost when you you start to play jiu-jitsu, you don't mind guys at posture because you just start to fill space, they stand, and then the game kind of goes and goes and goes.
Mm-hmm.
But when there's dire consequences such as the fight game or tournament or something where there's high stakes involved, you want to keep everything you can. And posture and control is a huge benefit. And guys kind of forget that because we're so easy to just settle for collar grips and sleeve grips. And that's something that just because you have the gi on doesn't mean you always have to grab a cloth.
Yeah. And I know I've been guilty of that, certainly, where like I'm playing jiu-jitsu on a Saturday or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I start to grab the collar, and then somebody who passes my guard that would normally never pass my guard passes my guard because I wasn't controlling their head.
Right.
And I'm like, you dummy, go back to that. But again, if we go back to the root of jiu-jitsu, and it's Gracie jiu-jitsu, and we say defend the punch, don't get knocked out.
Yeah.
In order to punch effectively, you need space, and in order to create space effectively, you need your head. So if I can control your head and control all of that distance, you can never really punch effectively.
Right.
To say you can't punch me would be foolish. You're always going to be able to punch me, but it's how effectively can you punch me? And by controlling your head, I can really limit that ability.
And that's the key with jiu-jitsu. It's all about efficiency.
Yes.
Like people are like, well, that wouldn't work because I would just do this. Well, but the key is we're limiting the efficiency of your attacks, limiting your strength, limiting the distance you're allowed to attack from,
right,
which is going to allow you to generate more or less power.
Absolutely, yeah. And like I said, I see that taught wrong all the time, and I see people, when they're teaching it, they're struggling to sit up, and they're struggling to bump them over, because you're not lending me any energy. Like, I'm doing everything from a stagnant spot, and jiu-jitsu is not stagnant. Anybody who's trained jiu-jitsu long enough knows it's dynamic, and I have to have connectivity to you, and I have to, as hokey as it sounds, I have to feel your energy.
Yep.
I have to be connected to your energy in order to be able to effectively do jiu-jitsu. So the bump sweep for me is, from a self-defense perspective, one of the top tier moves I can do. So however I got here, break him down and wait for that energy to come. All right. So he pushes off the ground. I take the elevator right up to my hand. The world is good. Now he pushes off my elbow. I decide I'm going for the bump sweep, but I don't have the best trap in the world on this arm. Right. So I'm here and I'm trying to bump him, but he posts it out. Now, Kimura is available, but I can't just go for the Kimura. If I just come here, I don't have any strength. He comes back, and now he starts to flatten me out and crush me. Or a big, strong guy, the instant I grab this arm, he's going to rip it free, and it's gone. So again, we have to efficiently trap this arm. So he pushes off the ground. I take the elevator right up. He pushes on my elbow. I go for the bump, but I didn't have the best grip on his arm. He's able to move it. I go to the arm. Move my butt over here. Right now, I'm behind Tyler's tricep. So if he's trying to pull this arm out, it's stuck. Now I can grab his wrist. Now I can grab my wrist, and I'm immediately going to roll over in bed. So I'm looking this way. I'm going to roll this way. Bringing my leg up high over his shoulder and looking directly down into his ear. I've exposed the arm. To leave any chance at him pulling it away is foolish. So I break his posture. He pushes off the ground. I elevator right up. He goes for the bait. He pushes. I bump, but his hand comes out. I don't jump on this right now. I move over to it, and now I'm congesting all the space. He can't pull his arm free. As he tries, that gives me the Kimura. I lock his wrist into place. Grab his wrist, grab my wrist. This foot goes from the floor to his far shoulder. And now I look into his ear. One more time, and then let Tyler add anything he needs to add in here. Control posture, elevator ride, all of that was him. No energy from my part. He pushes. All of that was him. No energy from my part. He posts. In that instant he posts, my butt moves over here. Now I've congested the space. If he tries to pull his hand away, it comes to me. Take my Kimura grip, or my Americana grip, whatever you want to call it. My foot goes from the floor to the far shoulder, and I look into his ear. It's all my torso breaking the shoulder. What are you thinking there, hey Fuzzball?
I love it. It's the basis of the philosophy we always talk about is move you, not your opponent. and that's pretty much what you're doing. You're playing the water, essentially.
Yeah.
The guy on top is, the guy on top, especially in a fight scenario, tournament scenario possibly, he's going to play rock with you. He's going to be strong and tough and rigid, because the looser he gets, the more opportunity you're going to have to exploit that. So he's going to be very rigid. So when you start to play that rigid with a guy who's already on top, has gravity, you start to reach and grab and pull, it's not going to be as effective as what you're doing, and that's attacking the arm by getting your whole body there.
Yeah.
And also by taking that angle.
Where you go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, here. Oh. Now when you take this angle, this is a big thing that most people mess up with this Kimura, right? When you fall, when you trap Kimura, when you fall, you're going to fall immediately to your hip. Which a lot of people in the old ways, where guys were sitting up, taking the Kimura, and now you're straight on, trying to do the Kimura this way. That was always the old school bad way of teaching it.
Yeah,
you know, it's a
for
very
sure.
primitive way of teaching it. Because when you go flat to your back, that's something in guard we talk about a lot. If we're both 12 o'clock, your effectiveness to attack me and kill me is very tough.
Yeah.
Angles create strangles.
Yes.
So if we're at 12 o'clock our heads, you're not going to be effective. So when you take your hips out and now you're changing the angle, now it's your whole body versus my arm, rather than arms versus arms.
Right, and that's the big thing. Arms versus arms is not good for me, because I mean, you outweigh me, you're bigger, stronger, and that's most of people who I roll with. I very rarely roll with somebody who's smaller than me, better looking for sure. For sure. I don't think I've ever rolled with somebody worse looking than me.
No.
You know, that's a given. But you know, I always have to make that assumption. I can't ever get away with strengthening anything. It just doesn't work for me.
Yep.
So everything has to be that proper angle, that proper timing, that proper strategy.
Yeah.
You know? What else? Anything to add into that?
No, just that's the basis of, especially the guard, but jiu-jitsu essentially, but in the guard for sure, the water. You're flowing around and filling the cracks with your body, with your control.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I want to add something in with that Kimura, because it goes back to the strength on strength. It's something I do it without thinking about it. So for me, it just seems normal. But a lot of people out there watching this aren't going to know this, or their instructors certainly aren't going to know this and teach it to them. Is a big thing with any Kimura, no matter how you got there. Right? I see this all the time. They get the Kimura and then they travel the wrist. So in other words, like they do this and they push the wrist trying to get the tap. So now I'm back to arm on arm, strength on strength. If you're bigger and stronger than me, you're just going to straighten your arm and hunker it down and do all kinds of stuff. If you're really flexible, me pushing your shoulder doesn't do much other than open space for you to loop it out. For me, I don't care about how far the wrist travels. It's this north elbow, I drop it straight down to the floor. Like almost like I'm deboning a chicken. So like my elbow is a meat cleaver and I'm deboning the chicken just by pushing my elbow down. You see, I didn't even turn my torso when I got Tyler to tap. That was just my elbow traveling down to the floor. If I add that in with the torso, you can see Tyler's wrist didn't move. And because your wrist didn't move, you don't have strength and you don't have space to be wily and flexible. You know, we've all had that opponent where we roll with them and their arms just like rubber. You know, so everything stays tight in that 90 degrees. And for me, it's not so much this motion, this pushing motion, as this elbow just dropping down right through the joint. Just like chicken wings. Just whack, crack, and debone the chicken.
No, that's a
nice tip for people who you know probably have never been told that before. So, final piece of the series, the guillotine, right? Guillotine. So, here, same thing. I broke his posture, whether it became through punching or sportive. I broke him down. He lends all the energy pushing off the floor. I ride the elevator up to my hand. He pushes my elbow because I'm never going to let his head go. I bump and his hand moves. Now, maybe I don't want to go for the Kimura. Maybe his arms are ginormous, right? Ty's got like 18-inch biceps. I don't want to attack them. So instead I'm going to attack his neck. Same thing, I move my butt, but as I move my butt, I take the back of my knuckles across Tyler's back, and I sweep around, and I lock in his head. I immediately go over the arm, find my wrist grip here. I like the arm in because now Tyler can't back out. He can't pull away from me because I'm controlling his torso. A lot of times I see people just shooting for the head, and then it's boom, the head slips out. I lost a great opportunity. He's not going to fall for that again. So I break his posture. I take the elevator ride up using his energy. I bump sweep. He posts. And now I move my butt and I use the back of my knuckles to wrap his neck. And I immediately punch over the arm and get my wrist grip. Now, same thing. I'm going to fall on his head. Jake the Snake Roberts, DDT style. I put his head on the floor and my foot travels from the floor to the far shoulder. And I do an ab crunch. I take the hose and I crimp it in half and the water flow stops. My preference is always the arm and guillotine. I just find that people can't escape from me. You know? So here, he pushes, I ride, he pushes my elbow, I look for bump, but he's posting out on me, so I can't get it. I move my butt and I use the back of my knuckles along his head. I immediately fire through his armpit and grab my watch. He can't back away. I have full control over his torso. My foot travels from the floor to his far shoulder. I want to put his head right on the floor. I close my guard and I do an ab crunch. If I pull, Tyler's head will pop out. So I want to do an ab crunch. Anything to add in there?
No, just yet again, you moving your hips off of the center line, the 12 o'clock, is creating a ton more torque on the guillotine. You're getting to your hip. So if nothing else, if he doesn't finish guillotine, if you don't finish Kimura or whatever, by you getting off on your side, me pulling out, now it lends you towards being able to attack. Because you're on your hip. You're not stagnant, flat, here, boom, grab my head, boom, you're flat on your back, grabbing someone's head. Now, as I come up, boom. That's what most people do with the guillotine too. They don't get off on that angle, get off on your hip. In jiu-jitsu, the answer 95% of the time is you weren't on your angle, you weren't on your hip. And that's very, very important because that's doing a lot of leverage and torque to help finish rather than arm strength. It's not arms again, you know, it's body, core, hips, all working together.
Every time we roll, if you snap my hips to the floor like this, I do everything in my power to get them.
Yeah.
You know, as soon as you lock my hips straight, I'm just like, dang, man, I got to get them back.
Yeah.
So we have bump sweep, Kimura, and guillotine. But everything starts with that's why I call it the bump sweep series. Because it starts with the bump sweep is the wick. You know, you light the wick and let it run. Hopefully I get the bump sweep, I mount you, punch your face in. If I don't, Kimura or guillotine. For me, I find them interchangeable. I don't think there's like, I mean, as soon as you post, for me, there's nothing that says this is the time for the Kimura or this is the time for the guillotine. You've made the mistake, and that's what I like about it, is from that single mistake, I have multiple attacks. You know? So anything we need to add in that bump sweep series?
No, and like I said, if nothing else, because of you creating this angle, if you hit it or don't, any of your submissions, you go for boom, you go for any of your submissions, because you're off at this angle, if I do escape and I get right, you're always, if nothing else, you're attacking, but you're not giving so much away that it's all or nothing.
Yeah.
You are always going to be able to have a chance to retain a guard or just continue the ass-slapping machine of attacks.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the big thing.
Ass slapping machine.
Yeah.
As you're between my legs.
Right.
I refer to it as an ass slapping machine.
But that's a big part of the philosophy of jiu-jitsu that gets lost, because you see these moves sometimes and you see a 15-second Instagram clip of a cool move, but you don't know where it pieces in with the 4 other moves, but also the position itself.
Right.
And that's the thing, position before submission, that you're doing that. By you getting off on that angle, you still have position before submission, because even if you miss the submission, positionally, you're still able to escape fast, or like we did with the guillotine, my arm is still there, omoplata,
right.
all that stuff. So it continues the cycle, or if nothing else, you go back to guard.
Yeah.
At least you're in guard.
At least.
Rather than most people, and I think this is going to ring true for the next series as well, where positionally we want to put you in a place where if you want to submit, if you want to get submitted, you're going to hang yourself.
Right.
But we're going to have a position where we can kind of relax and control.
Yeah.
And same thing from that. You sitting up, boom, just holding the head. You'll chill out here for a second or two until he figures out what he wants to do. Boom, check him with a bump, you know, or whatever the case is. He wraps around. There's just going to be, but if nothing else, boom, you pull him back down and you start working a different system.
Yep. And that's, I'm glad you said that because it sparked my memory here when you say, you know, that I'll chill, I'll get to that position and chill, right? So I'll take that elevator right up and chill because I want to know what you're going to do first, right? So again, when you push and I get here, I'm not letting go of the head and immediately going for this arm because his intention might be to punch with this hand, right? I come up here, he might decide he wants to start punching my face in with that hand. So if I immediately let go of the head and that's his intention, he backs up and starts cracking away on me, then I'm done, right? Or at least I got problems. If I come here and I chill, I go, okay, I'm going to chill at this checkpoint, and he moves this arm, I go back to the punch block series, or I go back to the broken posture, whatever it is. I'm only going to attack the bump sweep series when he does this side. So one more time, he pushes up. If he pushes on my elbow, I'm going bump sweep series all day because he's lending me the energy. But if this hand moves the one I'm looking at, then I'm blocking the punch and getting back to my guard. So it's not about what I want. It's about what you're willing to let me do.
Yeah.
It's like my marriage. It's not what I wanted. It's what she's willing to let me, you know, give me permission to do. She's like, yeah, go do a video with Tyler. Go play with your friend.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't matter if I want to do that. You know, so that's how I think about my jiu-jitsu is I get to a checkpoint, and then what are you going to let me do? That for me is a really, really important. Now there's times I'll dominate my will on you, but typically it's after I have you in that hole.
Right. No,
You know, if I'm fighting from the hole, that's the way I think about it. What are you going to give me? What are you willing to let me do?
And that's the key about system-based attacks.
Yeah.
Where you have the 2, 3, 4 options, and then the last option, first option, last option could always be going back to a position to where you're not going to be in a bad spot.
I don't think you're in the stream. Yeah, there you go.
But to put yourself where you can attack A, B, C, but also always have a position to where you're not going to give up. It's not going to be submission, get, awesome, win, submission, lose, now bad position, fighting defense the whole time.
Yeah. The analogy I always use to kind of explain that is like if you go for an arm lock or you go for a guillotine and you go for a bump, whatever it is, you're jumping out of a plane because you're leaving a position. Any submission or sweep, I'm leaving a position. So it's you know, we always say position before submission, but it's position transition submission.
Yeah.
So in that transition is your time as my opponent to throw a wrench into it. So the way I think about it is if I'm going to jump out of that plane after the kimura, after the bump sweep, after a triangle, whatever it is, if I'm going to jump out of that plane, I better have a parachute.
Yeah.
And I like to have 2 parachutes. Because if that first one doesn't open, I want another one to do it. But I think that's the way a lot of people play jiu-jitsu is they'll be in the mount, they'll shoot an arm lock, they'll miss it, and wind up on the bottom of cross body. Because they didn't have plan B, C, D, E, F, G.
Yes.
You know, I want to have those golden parachutes to save my ass anytime I go after something. So that's why I like the system stuff.
Absolutely.
Okay. I think that's everything on the bump sweep series that I wanted to get to. Is there anything more? So I definitely want to get to the bear trap or the Tyler guard. It's not Tyler guard, it's bear trap. And get into that. So why don't you start off with that? I have ideas on it, but you use this more than I do. Like
yes.
This is a major part of your arsenal. I don't think I'm giving away trade secrets on you here.
I do use this position quite often, and I get to it a multitude of ways. We talked about punch block here. It's kind of like the poor man's rubber guard, basically. I used to play rubber guard a lot until I hurt my knee, and then just pulling my leg over people's faces just became a problem. But I do like this position, and let me turn this way. A few details, right? The difference here is when I get people broken down, I don't necessarily whizzer. I don't go all the way through. I don't like take my hand all the way through like the traditional whizzer. What I'll do is when I get them broken down, I'll cup under their armpit with my hand, and then I tuck my elbow to my side. And the key here, I think a lot of people miss when trying to do this type of guard, is they try and get to this position without the hip movement. I will put both feet on the mat, frame, hip escape, knee really high. This knee comes all the way up because this really helps control and break them down. And also, I'm not throwing my leg up to where it might get in the hole, it might not. When I bring this all the way up, it's a short distance for my leg to travel. So this goes all the way up. Boom, short distance, grab over, hug knee. And then from here, I just have control, I relax, and then, like we said in the last series, his movement is going to dictate what I do, or lack of movement. So one more, here, right, boom. Cup the back, I'm not reaching through. If I reach through, I get stuck. I'm just gonna cup the back of his arm, tuck the elbow tight, boom, hip escape, frame, knee high, boom, over, grab shin, frame face, hug. Okay.
Yeah, real good. It's super tight, you know, and it's really a nice follow-up to where, like you said, if my inactivity, you break my posture, put my hands on the floor, and I don't push off the floor.
Right.
I'm trying to blanket your hips.
Yes.
Where like you break me down and I'm like, well, screw you, I'm just gonna blanket your hips. And so you're kind of like screwed if you do push off the ground, screwed if you don't push off the ground. And again, that's what I like that golden parachute. You know, we're layering everything. That detail of the knee coming up first and then going to the shoulder, I think is really important.
It is.
You know, I think
It's
really,
huge.
really important. Yeah.
Because I used to try and do the dexterity, flexibility,
Yeah.
try and throw the leg up there.
Yep.
But the big thing, what happens with the guys, if you just start throwing the leg up, like, oh, I get out on your hip, and you start throwing it up there from that low, guys will start to try and posture back into you. But when you take the knee super high, it drives my shoulder. So now it's only a short distance for your leg to travel. And then now it's, yes. And by that time, I'm too deep in it to save myself.
Yeah. I like that detail. That's something I'm not doing.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. I know I'm not. I know
Yeah.
I'm going direct shot to the
Right.
shoulder. I know for a fact I am.
Yep. That's a big one.
Yeah.
And that was Kurt showed us that.
Off the omoplata.
Off the omoplata.
Yes, he did, yeah.
So it's the same kind of
Same
concept.
kind of concept, yeah.
Because he's like, I'm not that flexible in my legs.
Right.
So by taking my knee so high up on the shoulder, now my foot only's got to travel a small distance.
Yeah.
Rather than I'm down here trying to get all the way up there. And the key with this is I want my heel in the crook of his shoulder here. Because then it's locked in. So when he starts to posture, he's carrying all of me right now. Especially when I start grabbing and gripping here. And the amount of options I have from here, it's almost endless.
Yeah, I like it. So anything positionally that we need to talk more on? Or do you want to get into this series?
The only thing I would say about this is I want to be off on my hip. Like I said, this is kind of punch block series 1 with a nice twist, but I want my position to be secure. I'm not going to start attacking and relinquishing my grips. I'm going to sit and settle and control. And I like this position great because, like I said, from an MMA position, when I hug the knee and hold here, I have unlimited strikes, boom, omoplata, triangle, Kimura. I have so many options, but if nothing else, I have control, ton of control. His posture is broken. It's be very difficult for him to pass right now. It's very difficult for him to posture up and punch me right now. And then, like I said, if this was a fight scenario, I can do a lot of damage from here to facilitate his movement into something that I want, or just to inflict a ton of damage.
Yeah. I actually do, like as a bonus, you know, we're talking about it from broken posture from punch block 1. I'll enter into this a lot from punch block 2, where, you know, for those of you who are initiated, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, punch block 2 is going to be here and here, where I've created this shell. You know, I'm not going to get into this right now. If you know what, you know it. If you don't, you don't. But when I'll get here, a lot of times I'll just kick this through.
Yeah.
You know, another entry for me that is pretty high percentage, because we do a lot of this stuff with the gloves. You know, bad guy, good guy, punching, and I'll get to that punch block 2 and boom, right into that.
Absolutely.
I love that. So let's start with the attack series. Start with the kind of dirty Kimura.
Yep.
The cheap Kimura that
Yes.
is effective. Yeah, you know, we say
sure.
cheap, but it's super effective. Let's move this way. Super effective.
So, like I said, me getting to this position here, boom, big hip escape, big hip escape. Here, right? So I say he's going to dictate, his movement is going to dictate where we're going here. Or, in this case, lack thereof. If I go to this position and he kind of tries to stall me out, I'm going to go to the easiest option possible. And that's going to be, I'm going to take my right hand that was framing, grab my knee, reach back, under grip, not over grip. I don't want to use my thumb, I want to use my forefingers. Here, and then, real simple, real easy. And the same concept that he was talking about, cutting the shoulder down, I'm really going to drop my knee tight. I'm going to pinch it as tight as I can down as I kind of lift the Kimura. But I don't have to lift it that much by chopping down on the shoulder. It locks it into place. And this one is, like I said, lack of movement. He just kind of hunkers down. He's in a bad spot. He's going to take a few deep breaths and try and figure out how he's going to get out of this. Here, I take it back. Everything's tight. Boom, reach back, cup, pinch, lift.
It's so tight.
Yep.
So tight.
And that's the same concept as you were doing with your elbow. I'm just going to do it with the knee.
With the knee.
Yeah. I'm going to really pinch down, because when I pinch down and I isolate that shoulder, it becomes extreme pressure.
Yeah, I can't move in there at all.
Yep.
I really can't move in there. I do it almost identical, but again, I do it just because I'm smaller than you. You know what I mean? So like, I have to do one more control option for the arm.
Mhm.
'Cause a lot of times I'll get there and I'm so light that guys will like lift me off the floor.
Yeah.
So I'll get here, boom, boom, and I'll get this control option. What I'll do is I go to your elbow. So I'll just cup your elbow, like physically grab your elbow.
Yeah.
I'm still doing the knee pressure.
Yeah.
I'm still doing the bear trap close, but after I've done the control phase, I'll slide everything in one motion here. And I'll use this, because now I feel like I got shoulder, elbow, and wrist. I don't care how strong you are.
Yeah.
You're not getting me.
Yeah.
I only do that because a lot of times I roll with Big Rick, Big Kev,
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I go to bear trap on you guys, and you guys are like, hold,
Yeah.
smash.
Yeah.
You know, you smash me around.
Yep.
So for you smaller grapplers, that elbow control will help. You still got to do what Ty said with that knee.
Yeah,
Like
knee
I'm
pressure.
relying on this, the
Yeah.
Suzanne Summers,
Right.
a lot.
The pinch
You
is
know?
key.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but that's just one little thing I'll hold that elbow to for me.
For sure.
So let's start the system. Everything starts with that.
Yep.
All right, that's lighting the wick. All right, now all of my reactions off of that dictate everything else. So let's move this way a little more back.
Boom. Big hip escape. Create that distance. Boom. Over. Cup. Hold. Control. He's just chilling, relaxing. Maxing all cool. Shooting some b-ball outside of the school. And then I came along and gave him a dirty Kimura. But sometimes from this, because I only have one hand on it, or Jeff even grabbing this, I have one hand on it. I don't have my Kimura grip because it's hard to fit my arms through. He might be strong and he's going to straighten out. Boom, that's fine. I catch, hold the phone. For our viewers old enough to remember talking on the phone at the house, holding it in one ear, making some mac and cheese, walking around, doing whatever you got to do, you hold the phone in your ear. Same concept. And that's why I like to take this grip up. If I go grip over, feeding it into my ear is not as easy. When I go 4-finger grip underneath him, thumb on top, it just, boom, catches right in there. I roll my hips over slightly, pinch my knee down, pinch my hands, isolate the joint. Oh, here, come back, catch in the ear. I don't want to remain at the same distance I was on the Kimura. You're gonna see my hips throughout this chain are gonna start turning. Okay, right now, I can't be a Kimura. Kimura, I was sitting back, my shoulder blades were almost on the mat. On this one, boom, my shoulder blades are both off the mat. I'm more turned over on my hip. Now my knee gets more pressure, my hands get more pressure, and then boom, tap. And I pinch my knees together. This will help pop the joint. This is gonna isolate the joint, boom. But you're gonna see my hips, as we go through this ass slapping machine of moves, it's going to, my hips are gonna keep turning. Here, boom, here, hips, tap, good. If he's strong here too, maybe sometimes what happens is, guys, when I'm holding the phone in the ear, I extend away sometimes. That's okay. I catch the arm, here, my hips come down further yet again. And now the grip's gonna be cupping inside, grabbing the pinky meat, Americana. So now we went from dirty Kimura, straight arm lock, to dirty Americana. And this one's a little bit tough to get at first, but when you lock it into place, I mean, it's so tight. And I'm on it, I'm controlling it all with my body. I'm almost choking this grip. Boom. So we got bent arm, boom, straight arm, boom, bent arm. Here. Now, yet again, if he's strong, sometimes what he's going to do is, right now, hold on, I have a bend in his arm, and that's giving me the shoulder pressure to give him a tap. He doesn't like that, so he's going to fight against it. He's going to go straight. Now look at my hips. Over, boom. If we stop here, the one thing I don't want to do is I never want to shoot my arm lock like this. I see a lot of people doing this. Their knees splay wide. It's very hard to find. Yeah, he could be moving all around. What happens here is when I come over, yep. What happens is I come over, I catch the back of the head with my toes, and I go over here, because now I get to pinch my knees. And now I have unlimited force. No ground to stop me. Here, I have the ground. I can only exploit his elbow and push his elbow as far as the ground will let me, which doesn't allow me too well. I take over this way. Boom. So what we have is bent, straight, and that's basically what's happening throughout this whole chain here, is you're getting the strong guy from a bent arm, attacking his straight arm defense, attacking his bent arm defense, attacking his straight arm defense.
Yes. Yeah, we're on lag. Yeah.
Yep.
What we're seeing isn't what they're seeing.
Okay.
Yeah, we're on like a 15-second delay in case you curse.
I know that's a lot. I know that's a lot in a row, but it's some of those ones you have to see quick, because otherwise you're not understanding what exactly is going on. But it is. I'm exploiting the bent, the straight, the bent.
Yeah, but so again, this is one that I use a lot. So same thing. However, I'll do it from this side here, but we're here. Same thing. I get this initial control, and I'm in no hurry. Again, I'm in no hurry because we're going to go over another option from here if he does regain his posture. But I'm just chilling, relaxing. I slide down, boom, and I get that dirty Kimura. The straight arm lock, again, is off of him. I'm not taking his arm from here and lifting it to do that. No way. He's straightening his arm. This, for me, is a big one because most people can overpower me. So a couple of things that I do. One, I'm already on his elbow. And again, because I'm a little weaker, I'm a little older, I'm still using what Ty said here, but I go 12 to 6 elbow. So my elbow is pointed at the ceiling so that I can get a straight push down. So this is pushing, and then this is pushing like a reverse waiter tray this way. I find I'm not strong enough just to hug it in anymore. I used to be, not anymore. I'm here. I push straight down. So there's 3 forces. This is moving down, this is moving down, and my head actually moves up. And I get an instant tap. So that for me is how I do my straight arm lock. It's going to help again for you smaller or older grapplers. Now, if he pulls this out, bang, and his elbow's bent, this is one of my favorites. I got hit with this by Rob Kahn. I was a purple belt. He hit me with this and dismantled my shoulder and elbow. And as soon as it happened, I screamed. I was like, ah, show me that. I had to see it. So tight knee, coming over, palm on palm, grab the meat of his pinky, and not only do I pull this backwards to my top nipple, I'm going to push my hips forward like Ty said. So I'm pushing my hips into him as I pull this back. A nice dirty Americana. I'll never forget the pain when he hit me with that. It was debilitating. So we're here, this comes over. As soon as this pops over, I'm stuffing his elbow, grabbing, and then boom. And I don't think I do anything different when you straighten this. I do the same thing you do, where I just spin here, boom, and I finish. With that, it doesn't matter if I'm small, because my whole body is on your elbow, so it's irrelevant.
But the key is, though, is to turn all the way through on that arm lock. The belly down arm lock is not belly down like that. Don't go belly down, because you're extremely limited on how tight your knees can stay. You're extremely limited on how tight you can stay on the elbow joint. Because your legs are going to get long, his elbows is going to slide past the isolation point, and you're going to be more on the forearm area, right? So that's where here, like I said, and then you have to spread your knees to get your hips involved, but then you're not isolating it no longer. So when you go from here to here, and I come through, I get my knee pinch back. That's what we need the most when we're doing arm locks. We need a tight, isolated elbow joint, which is going to make it, all the tendons, everything nice and tight, compact, so when I start to put leverage to it, you feel it immediately, rather than giving the guys where they can bend their elbow and they're fighting with their wrist and their grip, where once you own that elbow tight, now it's tap instantly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And something you guys aren't going to pick up on the camera, but I'm going to point it out, is right from the first technique, right from that dirty Kimura, when Ty grabs me, he's grabbing right at the wristwatch, or when I grab him, right at the mushy part, right where the bones are, right in that mushy part. So I can't spin my wrist.
Right.
So even if I survive the 1, 2, 3, and I get to that last wrist, that last arm lock, where you go, I can't even do that, because you have this. That's going to be a key for any arm lock, guys. Add that in. When you guys are doing any arm lock, get in that mushy part. Control that mushy part right there. And then I always like to just double grip it, that mushy part. There's all kinds of different ways of wrapping arm locks or whatever, but that mushy part, that just stops the wrist rotation. I do that with every single arm lock that I shoot. I don't shoot a lot of arm locks, I'm a choke guy, but when I do shoot an arm lock, it's that mushy part I like. Good? For sure. Yeah. Give him the triangle. Posture, yeah. Posture off the triangle.
Yeah.
Which side do you want to shoot it from?
This side.
This side?
Yeah. So, yet again, keep going with the chain. The first kind of chain of attack comes from him being stagnant, right? He's just wants to hunker down on me. He doesn't like right now, the reason why I got here, it seems, is because my opponent is kind of trying to control my hips. So when I get off on my angle, boom, here, right? He was, the last opponent, just tight. He was just hugging in. There wasn't giving me much space. This guy's a little bit stronger, a little bit more aggressive, so he's going to put his hand on the mat, and he's going to posture up and try and get out of here. And I'm going to sneak my foot out, boom, come back, catch my shin, lock it up, boom, here, up, pass, two hands on the triangle, I pinch my knees, and then I flex my hips up to the ceiling. As I pull the head down, because the triangle is a triangle, I want to pull his head and neck into the smallest part of the triangle at the bottom. So when I'm here, boom, I pinch, yes. So I pinch my knees and push my hips up. If you don't grab the head with it, I'm kind of just pushing him away. I want to kind of pull him and push him. I'm giving him like this motion, kind of. right? But like I said, it's a triangle. It's an upside down triangle, and you want to pull his shoulder and neck into the smallest part of the triangle. The biggest mistake people make when they get to the triangle is they allow guys to hang out in the big part of the triangle at the top. And that's a problem. Even with the lock triangle here, they allow guys to live at the top of the triangle. And if they're living at the top of the triangle, they can survive, right? I want them, well, the bottom of the triangle, but the top. Here, I want him in the small part. I want all of that into the small part. Boom. So, yet again, I'm getting an attack from a position. I'm getting a submission from the position. It's not, I'm not going out there and throwing a triangle at him. You know, and that's a big thing when we, you know, where this is a system based, rather than me go, all right, ready, go, boom, I throw a triangle, I miss, he passes. Here, boom, I set up a position and a control. And if he doesn't move, I'm cool. I have position, I can start to attack and probe. But like I said, if he decides to go heavy and posture, boom, I sneak my knee out, boom, catch. Here, my legs are big enough to where I will actually lock the triangle as best I can before I pass the arm over. So lock it, up, hand, motorcycle grip over, readjust, and now I fix my triangle. 2 hands on the back of the head, pinch, flex.
Yeah, it's tight. Free buzz.
Yeah.
Free buzz. That for me is, that's the other one I get a lot if I go bear trap, because they just they
hot structure.
Yeah, they explode up on me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, no matter how good I have that control, they explode up on me, and I got short legs, so they're easy to zip, sneak in and sneak out of there. You know. Let me see. I don't think I do anything differently. I come here, get off the bear trap. As soon as that happens, yeah, boom, boom, here.
Go back up.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so I'm going to determine what's coming next. First one, I just hunker down. Maybe you guys couldn't see the far side, but a lot of times when guys do this, and they'll just and buy themselves some time to figure out what their next attack is. That's when you go to the dirty Kimura.
This for me, if you grab my knee,
Yeah.
I'm going the first system.
Right.
Immediately.
Yep.
That's a Pavlov's dog right there.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, most guys might sit and settle and wait for their escape and you get the easy attack, but sometimes they might go quick. Boom, he postures and he tries to come back in and yes. And then now he's got to go and finish that triangle. But yet again, it's that system based to where, let's just say worst case scenario, go ahead, boom, right? You get to this position and I say screw you and I fight back in. What happens?
Nothing for me.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Guard.
Yeah. You expended all the energy. You're tired now.
Yeah. But that's what's great about these attacks it's allowing you to set your game forward without putting yourself at too much risk.
Yeah. Yeah, worst case scenario, you survive these and wind up back in my closed guard. I'm right where I started, just as fresh as when I started. You expended all the energy, mentally and physically. You know, physically you had to expend a lot of energy to get back there. Mentally, now you're going, ooh, that was close. And now you're tentative. And if you become tentative in the guard and tentative while passing the guard, you're probably going to get stuck in another trap. You know? So for me, that's a big thing. I'll play that psychological game on people. You know, I do that with you a lot, where I try to pull you out of your game. Like, I use my words, I use my verbal jiu-jitsu and try to pull you out of your game. You know, so like for me, the psychology of jiu-jitsu is kind of fascinating, and I get into that a lot. But I don't think there's anything left to add in there.
There is.
Is there?
Yes.
Which
The
one? The roll?
The omoplata. But this is going to come from a position that I started to get a lot during MMA practicing. And this is kind of where this whole thing came from. It was like I started to go to this a lot because of MMA. Because I needed a guard to where I can attack, but the rubber guard and stuff like that, like I didn't like being at 12 o'clock with people.
Yeah.
You know, when their head was straight with my head, I always felt there was damage that could be done.
Yeah.
So, but this is another one. So we got the chill. Boom.
This way, yeah, just so we make sure we're in here.
Yep. Right. So we had the chill opponent where we get him broken down in the bear trap, and we can start attacking this. We have strong and postures, boom, catch him, triangle, right? There's one more type of guy, and that is going to be he's a little bit tighter with his posture, and he starts to try and grind back into me. So like as he grinds back in. So a lot of guys here, they kind of concede this position, or they don't have this frame here. And that's a big thing. I always want this frame here until I'm ready to attack, because he's gonna start trying to bully back into my guard. So I have this frame, and then what I do is I push the frame out and I replace the frame with my knee. And now I have my knee on his face. He really can't win this battle. Now I can easily pass over omoplata, boom. But this is a nice detail that strong guys, like, the frame wasn't enough. So like sometimes they would just grind back in, but the frame was enough to keep them at bay until I can pass my knee and shin over. Now once I can pass the knee and shin over his face, I still keep this frame, but I can extend that away, and now I'm not pulling, I not have to worry about contending with his head and face, pushing my own foot into me and popping my knee possibly. That happened to me doing rubber guard. But here it's push this away, now I can replace it, and now I have, boom, space, sit up, omoplata. Works excellent. Here, boom, I keep my frame. This frame is very important, especially when I'm in this chill mode. Because he's, at any point, he wants to sneak back into my guard. He just wants to bully back in, boom, bully back in to my guard, boom, he just wants to, yeah. So here, boom, I frame him, right? And he's gonna start driving in. I, boom, frame it out, catch him with my shin and my knee in his face. Easy pass over, boom, boom. And this works even good for like big strong guys that they'll posture, right? They'll posture up. Yes, and I won't be able to sneak this out. So when they might even like start like getting to like your knees and like start driving this in, like push this in. Yes, that's a big one. You push them away with the shin to the face. That's really effective. Because otherwise I see a lot of guys like this, they push here and they're trying to pass over. But when I get this, it's just a frame now. And he could drive into that frame all he wants. That's a crappy frame to have to deal with. Boom, pass, sit up. Omoplata. I mean, we're not going to go into too many details about finishing omoplata, finishing triangle, because we've hit those on a regular basis. Yeah. But the concept behind all this is, like I said, I'm always going to be setting things up to where, like, my next move is approaching, and it's just deeper down the system. Yeah?
Yeah, for sure. Deeper down the rabbit hole, man. Conspiracy theory rabbit hole, go right down it.
Dude, you end up in flat Earth.
I know.
It's throwing omoplatas.
I think I think that's everything.
Yeah.
You know, there's obviously some variables that can go along in there, but if you're hitting those major checkpoints along the way, you're gonna be real safe with those major checkpoints. And again, these two systems are good for street, MMA, sport. I don't care what your cup of tea is.
Yeah.
It's good for all of it.
And not one of these moves did we grip the gi.
No.
Mm-hmm. That's something that. So you should be translating your no-gi game into a gi game as much as possible. Because if you can control someone with overhooks and underhooks, you can control them overhooks, underhooks, especially with the gi.
Yeah.
And that's something to always keep in mind. I always say grip the man. That's very important. Grip the man when you can.
Mm-hmm.
You know, collar grips, sleeve grips, all that stuff are cool and fun. But if you can grab wrist control or head control, overhooks, underhooks, they're going to be extremely beneficial because they don't lie. They're never going to leave you. Like he said, you can be gi, no gi, butt naked, wrestling an Eskimo in the snow. If you know overhooks and underhooks, you'll still be all right.
Yeah, you guys, when we roll, you guys will know when I'm like playing and having fun and when I'm being a little more serious. If I'm playing and having fun, I'm generally like, you know, gripping here, kind of like I'm creating movement. when like you do something that pisses me off, it's immediately I'm on your head, and I'm on your elbows, and I'm just like, and I start to really break you down and not let you get away from me. Because that's how I was brought up. That's how I brought you up.
Yep.
It's a fight. It's a fight. It's a fight. It's a fight. It's not sport. We're not doing all of this stuff, But nothing wrong with that. It's fun. I like to do that too. Yeah, and everything. I think that's everything.
about
I think
everything, yeah.
it's a good hour. I think that's enough for them to digest. Watch the video again and again and again, because there's going to be details that you guys didn't pick up the first time through of watching it live. So rewatch it. Certainly share it so that your friends and family who aren't getting the benefit of training with two knowledgeable and one slightly handsome, slightly, and one slightly short, bald, old, fat, slow. People who don't have the opportunity to train with us all the time can benefit from this, because there's stuff in there that they're not being taught, I guarantee it. So that's my closing thoughts. Anything else? We'll try to do this once a month.
Yeah, we're gonna try and do this more. Let us know if you guys would want to see more of this stuff.
Yeah, comment, let us know.
Message in person.
Yeah, message us, and let us know like topics too.
Yeah.
We have a lot of stuff in our heads that we'll go through that we enjoy, but if there's some type of specific thing you would like us to focus on for the next time around, we'll certainly try to accommodate. For sure. Good. Thanks, Ty. Thanks everybody for tuning in.